Hello. I keep forgetting to say, but I am still Sarah McCartney, and I still run 4,160 Tuesdays Perfumery in West London, Hammersmith here, and I still run Santhusiasm School and the Patreon at Santhusiasm in order to encourage people to have a go at making perfume. I've been writing a lot recently, and I realised since I was asked to write about how to start making perfume, some of the time I just assume that you already know far more than I think people do. So I'm going to start with some very, very basic things and try not to assume anything. If I've assumed stuff, please write and tell me what you don't know, because you know how hard it is to remember what it was you didn't know when you started. I'm guilty of that. So, I'm also going to turn off the air conditioning because it makes a noise. It's not really air conditioning, it's a fan. It is 29 degrees, but we're British, who needs cool? Right. Less noise. I forgot my mic as well, so I forgot my watch. We're here. You don't need to know. So I've got a beaker, I've got some scale, and I've got some Japanese kabosu oil, an essential oil which is a citrus fruit not normally found outside Japan. And I've been sent this to test it, so how would I go about that? Well, I will tell you. So I've got the scale is on, I've got a little beaker, and I'm going to press tare, which resets it back to 0. So I will take the lid off. Oh, it's got one of these dropper things on, which I find a bit irritating, so I will. I've got a little machine that takes these off. Not a machine, a tool. Oh, forget it. I'm just going to drip it. Okay, no, I'll show you the other trick. What you do is you take your pipette, you squeeze it, you stick it down the hole, and then you can draw it out far faster than if you do the dropper. My friend Najib told me that, so that's 0.38 grams. Right, so I've got a 50ml bottle here, and 50 mils will hold about 40 grams of a dilution in ethanol. If it was water, it would hold 50 grams, but ethanol is lighter than water. So first mistake normally is to think, great, I'll measure 50 grams and put that in there and then wonder why it floods over the top. So I'm going to do 40. I'm going to do this at 10% strength, which means I need 4 grams of you shouldn't sniff straight from the bottle, but it's very hard not to. But also, because it's got the little stopper on, you don't get too much up your nose when you do this. So, see, stick the pipette in there. Doesn't drip out, but you see, can you see it flowing down the pipette like that? Very handy. Just speeds it up a bit if you can't find the tool that snaps the top off. So I'm going for 4 grams. I've got 2.21 at the moment. Why 10%? Well, because I'm diluting in ethanol, because ethanol is the best of the solvents that we have. Sometimes people put their materials in other solvents. That's usually because either they can't get hold of ethanol, because in the UK we have to have a license to have the proper perfumer's alcohol. Some countries don't sell it. Okay. Hand a bubble. Okay, fine. That is 4 grams. I can put the rest down the side. It'll go back in the bottle. 4 grams. Okay, rule number 1. Always put the lid back on. the pipette will probably have to go, but for the moment I'll just put it on top because I might need some more, so I'll keep it there. I won't get rid of it first. I have my ethanol in a squirty bottle. I think that's the technical term. It says, it's also labelled ethanol, just in case anybody was thinking, oh, maybe I'll have a drink. Don't. So I find this quite useful because it sort of, it's actually a washing bottle for cleaning laboratories, but it's sort of quite nice and squirty. This is interesting because, as you see, and I didn't know this was going to happen, rule number 3, that is, get to know your materials. This is going cloudy. So it will be interesting to see over the next couple of weeks how long it takes for it to dissolve properly and to clear, because quite a few materials do this. Some never seem to go clear. You can filter them. Sometimes they go clear. You can filter them. Sometimes they don't, because the particles just go straight through and they remain cloudy. So I now have 40 grams of kabosu. I've also got to learn the name. Kabosu essential oil. It smells lovely. It's definitely a citrus fruit, you'd know, but then you'd think, smells unusual, which is because to me it is. I just want to try it. So here's the thing. When you're testing a material which is already diluted, you don't need to dip much in. I sometimes see people and they kind of get a strip and they go right to the bottom of the bottle until their fingers get damp. There's no need. You just need a little bit. And for smelling, you just need it to go as far as here. So it's just like, just let it come up. Do the other side too. It feels, yeah. You just need it to hit the olfactory bulb, report into the brain. It's a very light pale feeling. More orangey than lemony. It feels sweeter every time I smell it. So a reason why we would bend the strip. One, if we're wafting, so it goes up both sides, we create a little cloud. It's much easier to wobble if it's bent. It just is. And then also, if you're going to put it down, it won't put the material, won't put the aroma on the surface, and it won't pick anything up. So that's a reason to bend it. I'm enjoying this. Okay, but moving on. Rule number 2 is write everything down. So what I need to do then is take a label. You know, my excuse for using fountain pens. Also, Japanese fountain pen with Japanese ink today, I think appropriate. So I am going to write down kabosu oil. Now, does it actually say? So it's got a batch number on it. So I'll write that down on the side of the label. I've got side stripes on it. Lot number 5/8605/3. And I'm also going to write down, I would write, if I could read Japanese, I'd write down who the manufacturer is, but I can't. But I know who it is because I've only got this one. But I'm going to write down on the other end of the label at 10%. Why not just smell it 100% strength? It wears your nose out a bit. We're never going to put this 100% strength on the skin because citrus oils tend to be full of skin sensitizers. Nature fills the peel of a citrus fruit with essential oils to defend itself against attack from insects, animals, even people. Okay, they want the seeds to survive. So they basically want it to stay intact. Nature didn't make essential oils so humans can smell us. But they do, on the other hand, want us to eat things so that the pips will be distributed. But they want the plant to be ready to be peeled. So the essential oils, they're more dangerous the greener they are. So as they become ripe, they're less dangerous. So one label, one bottle. I'll put that on there. But why 10%? One of my students this week said, why are you always doing these things to 10%? When I'm working at 10%, I can't smell anything. You just make really weak fragrances. What's with this? But actually, a lot of fragrances are made at much lower strengths than 10%. But if a perfumer works with materials well, they will kind of manage to juggle them so that if they get them in the right proportions, they will have the effect that they want. Now, if you're working at 10%, you can get an idea. You can put it on your skin, usually, if you know what you're doing, check the safety. You can create a fragrance at 10%, put it on your skin, it's going to be safe. You can decide whether you like it or not. You can get the balance right at 10%. You can then come back to what's left over, blend it all up, your finished fragrance at 100% strength, and then dilute it down to different amounts and decide which strength you want to add. So I'm going to put this in here. So I'm not going to filter it because this is my first experience of this essential oil, and I'm just going to come back to it and see if it clears by itself, because some of them do. Amaryllis does. Pink peppercorn eventually does. Lang Lang seems not to. There is another thing that sometimes people do, which is to freeze it and then filter it out. But what are you filtering out? You're probably filtering out something that smells nice. So I don't go for the whole freezing thing. I prefer to wait. I think a lot of artisan perfumery is just patience, not rushing things. So there we have it. Some kabuki. No, that's theatre. Kabosu essential oil. I'm getting mixed up with the sugi now. The kabosu oil, which I'm going to test. It's so lovely. I probably end up buying some at the moment. I've just got a little sample. I want to dip it again. Yeah, so I'm now going to see how it is. This has been 10 minutes probably since I first dipped it. Oh, another thing, if you are going to test it at 100% strength, never dip the whole strip in. I've got a tiny little drop left in this pipette, so I'm just going to put that on the end, and that will be enough. Oh, we've got a helicopter. It's been a while since we were recording and there was a helicopter. Right, so that's to see what it's like. You only need the tiniest amount if you're smelling something at 100% strength. Otherwise, your brain just gets bored with it. Well, let's just come back for a minute to taking breaths. Now, also bear in mind that if there's extra sound outside, like a police helicopter, it's actually more difficult to smell. If there's a lot to look at and a lot to listen to, it's difficult for the brain to decide it wants to smell things. Oh, I think he's gone. So that's why sometimes you'll see people closing their eyes while they're smelling. Sometimes I close my ears. And it's a bit difficult to juggle. There you go. And it seems much stronger because your brain then concentrates on the thing. So, I mean, maybe people who are testing things at 10% strength and think they don't smell of anything have got the music on full. Or also, if you're feeling a little bit anxious or stressed, that stops you smelling things at strength. The brain just diverts energy to the bits it needs to concentrate on. And if you're really worrying about a thing, it'll go, there's that thing, we're really worried about, let's forget the smell, don't care about the smells, you know, there's the thing we need to concentrate on. So, I mean, partly smelling these things makes us calm anyway. You know, deep breaths, as I say, but not deep breaths with the scent on the strip. You only need to detect this, you only need this to go to here. So you just like little breaths to here. Nice deep breaths. These breaths. It's been a long month and it's only the third, fourth. Nice deep breaths in between. And then either normal breath, but just to here. Breathe out. Deep breath in between. Clear it all out again. This is a combination of perfume practice and yoga practice. I've done 30 years of yoga. Yeah. And 16 years of perfume. I suppose 30 if you count all the time I spent at Lush. So, breathe in and then up to here and out again for a nice deep breath without smelling. Then, when you want to smell the thing, just up to here and out. It might be a bit hard if you haven't done 30 years of yoga. It's just like giving all your attention to how you do your breathing. If you've done a bit of yoga, you'll probably get what I'm talking about. But the deep breaths clear everything out. You only need a little breath. You only need it to go to there. So what you don't want to do is this, like, and fill your lungs with the stuff. There's no need. You only need to fill your nose with it. So that just, sometimes people take a big snort full of breath, scented breath. I'm going to do it on the diluted one. But even then, only up to here. You don't need to go and fill your lungs up, because then when you breathe out, you hyperventilate and you'll feel lightheaded. And sometimes people blame the lightheadedness on what's on the strip. It's not that. You get lightheaded if you just breathe far too deeply and far too quickly by breathing out too much CO2. That's what happens. But, so just little sharp breaths, just to get it to here. Deep breaths in between. Or normal breathing. But even then, just shallow. I mean, it's good for us to breathe all the way down to there. Mostly we don't. Mostly we just sort of breathe up and down this bit. Slightly diverting now into yoga. But then, I think it's part of the reason we feel calm when we're testing all our perfume materials is because we just spend a lot of time concentrating on breath. But if you feel like you're breathing and you fill in right to the bottom and then up to here, then all the way out, almost as if you pulled the plug out and the breath goes all the way down to the ground. It's so nice. Extra added bonus you get. What you don't want to do is aim to like fill entirely up, and certainly don't feel like you're filling your head up with breath. That's all. I know, you know what's going to happen. It's going to choose that picture, that bit where I did that, to show as the front cover of the video. Bet you. I look like some kind of, it's back to kabuki. I look like I've got a Japanese mask on and I'm acting. So I tend to do these kind of little sniffy breaths. So I got slightly distracted there about the amount of breathing. But when you've spent 30 years learning how to breathe, you might as well share. It's funny how you can sort of bring in all the things you've ever learnt into perfumery to help you understand it better. And breathing's one of them. Never stop. As far as you're in control of it, don't stop. Yeah, so I'd forgotten to bend this one earlier. This is the one with the tiny bit on. It's very beautiful. yeah, so so I've ended up with my dilution at 10% of kabosu. Kabosu. Oh, for goodness sakes. I'm normally good at languages. Kabosu. I've got to get that in the right order. It's 3 syllables. How can I be such an idiot? Don't answer that. Thank you. Kabosu. It's like people who say Toyota wrongly. Right. Kabosu essential oil. Beautiful. Yeah, okay, that's kind of all I wanted to do today. Just say why we dilute. It's so that, I mean, all around here, I've got just, it's going to make me sneeze. Dilutions. I've got bottles, diluted, different strengths. The Carat Absolute is at 10. There's another Carat Absolute at 10. The ethylene brassylate I have at 20, because that is, well, I would tend to use a lot more. It's a less impactful material. It's more of a cloud, more background. The black currant bud I had at 5, because that's very intense, and actually 1% for black currant buds usually fine. So you're trying to keep them within a certain range. If something's less impactful, you use more. If something's very impactful, you use less, so that you can work within, you can use 0.1 grams of something and it'll have about the same effect. So that's why I have things diluted to different amounts. I've got the sugi wood at 20%, because that's quite soft and backgroundy as well. And so eventually, when I do make a blend, test out a perfume, it usually ends up around about 12 to 13% strength. Maths we can do later, because I'll have more of the stuff in at 20% and a lot less of the stuff which is at 1 to 5%. So it's good to make your different versions until you're quite finished with your perfume at dilutions. One, you use 1/10 to 1/100 of the amount that you would use if you were working at 100%. So you don't rip through the materials too quickly. Plus, at 100% strength, you're not really going to be able to tell what it's like on the skin. So if you're going to make something in a day, just have a little potter, make a few variations and think, well, I'll just try that. You can't try it if it's at 100% strength, because it's not so. So, that's what I recommend. Diluting, and that's how you do it. Let me know what I have forgotten, what else I ought to cover in the how to get started films. And then I will return and do more like that.